What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some lovely new Marvel Champions cards to talk about. There's been a bunch of cards that have come around in a bunch of different ways, and I thought, right, I think it's time we probably collate these cards and how they've come out in all their different ways and have a lovely little chat about them. So let's start off. It's very little news, I grant you, but we're getting a Mockingbird ally card. Yay! I'm a little bit excited about this. I like Mockingbird. Mockingbird is coming in as an ally, and we can see from this lovely little montage that we've got a free cost ally coming along in the Hawkeye set. We've got thwart of 2 with 1 residual damage, attack of 2 with 1 residual damage, and health of 3. She seems alright. There's not really a huge amount we can see until we actually get a good look at her skill. Seems alright, if I'm honest with you. Seems fine. But it's going to depend on the skill as to exactly how good this ends up being. Of course, it is worth pointing out that back in the core set, we did get a Mockingbird ally. It was a basic card, and it had worse stats. Free cost the same, free health the same, 1 residual damage for each thing you do, but thwart an attack of 1 rather than thwart an attack of 2. Of course, Mockingbird does stun an enemy when you play it, which is a stunning ability. But stats-wise, this looks good, though we can't say a huge amount more about it. Now, we have had a lovely look at a couple new Spider-Woman cards, one of which we can actually make out because we've got 2 different montages, each of which shows you a different half of it. We can see Venom Blast, a 2-cost event. It's a Spider-Woman card. Now, it is both a Spider-Woman and an aggression card. Now, remember, this is big because Spider-Woman has got an interrupt. When you play an aspect card, she gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, and +1 defense until end of the round. So obviously you want to play as many different aspects as you can, because she starts off quite weak at 1/1/1. So Venom Blast is a Spider-Woman aggression card, so you don't have to be playing aggression as one of your aspects. Yes, you can play 2. You can just play other aspects and have this as a random rogue aggression card that will still give you the boost. And it's got a hero action that deals 5 damage to an enemy. And 5 damage to an enemy for 2 cost is pretty good. So what we're basically looking at here is you're doing 5 damage for 2 cost, and it's an aggression card which helps to fuel your skill as Spider-Woman. I get more and more excited about Spider-Woman as we go by. We've also got Inconspicuous, a 1-cost event that seems to be both a Spider-Woman and a Justice card, which is really nice because, of course, as we've said, we need as many aspects as we can get our hands on. And it's something to do with the number of something you can have in play. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to wait for a better look at the card. Oh, and I suppose we could say we're getting a Black Knight ally. It's got free health. Yeah, we're doing the best we can with what we've got, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. Now, the other really intriguing one for me that's come around is that there's been a little bit of a Red Skull montage gone and been revealed. Now, if we have a look at Red Skull, now it wasn't actually revealed, so to speak, but then it was revealed in Polish. So we got a good look at Red Skull as a Polish card. And we saw that the attack is 0, which is very, very low. But we also, and you see on the montage here it's been covered up, but we know that Red Skull gets +1 attack for each side scheme in play. So we're expecting a lot of side schemes in the Red Skull deck. That seems fairly sensible. And again, if you think about Red Skull isn't a fighter. Red Skull is somebody who has lots of little things and tricks going on. A character with lots of side schemes thematically makes perfect sense for Red Skull. Well, the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, we've now seen the main scheme for Red Skull, and it is called, stop me if you've heard this name somewhere else, The Rise of Red Skull. Now, we cannot see side A, but side B puts an extra 1 threat on per person per turn, and is successful when 8 threat is put on per person. But there is a forced response here. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, that being you place 1 threat on the main scheme, or however much is supposed to if there's some acceleration tokens in play, you then reveal the top card of the side scheme deck and put it into play. Yeah, that's right. Red Skull has a side scheme deck. A deck of side schemes, and essentially puts 1 side scheme into play every turn. That's going to get over the top so quickly. Now remember that the whole point of the Rise of the Red Skull box is that it is a campaign, and that you're basically going through 5 villains in a row, taking them all down, with Red Skull being the final one. So we are expecting the Red Skull villain to be difficult to take down. But oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, he's actually got like a full-on side scheme deck. And he's putting out 1 side scheme every turn. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, and if you look at the rulebook, it refers to steps, and the players resolve the following steps. Step 1, place threat on the main scheme. And then a side scheme comes out. I mean, if these side schemes are pretty hard, this is going to be a very, very difficult villain to take down. This is already looking like a very difficult villain. I mean, bearing in mind that we're not just saying that you've got all the side schemes, you also need to bear in mind that every side scheme raises Red Skull's attack as well. So you're going to be sitting there against a really big, bad, powerful Red Skull with some really big, bad, powerful side schemes. This is going to be very difficult. We do see an attachment here as well, Master Strategist. You attach it to Red Skull. It does stuff. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I have absolutely no idea what this does, and from the image we've got, it's impossible to guess. I would love to give you a nice in-depth look at exactly what this is, but this is actually really big, because what we've seen here is confirmation that Red Skull actually has a side scheme deck. That's a big change from what we saw before. And finally, over in France, we've been shown a look at Absorbing Man and Crossbones Stage 2. Now, we'd already seen Stage 1 of these. These were in the official reveal that came around initially. Now we've got a lovely look at Stage 2. Now, we'll start off with Crossbones, because I like Crossbones more. Love to give you a more in-depth reason than that. Crossbones, then, he is going up to a hit point of 14, up from 12. He goes to 2 scheme 2 attack from 1 scheme 1 attack, so everything's gone up a little bit here. Now, initially, in stage 1, while he's got a weapon attached, his attacks gain piercing, you discard a tough status before doing damage, and you actually do keep that incidentally. While he's got a weapon attack, his attacks gain piercing, that is still there. But now there's an extra thing here. When it's revealed, you search the encounter deck and discard pile for Crossbones machine gun and attach it to Crossbones. Now, we have seen Crossbones machine gun. That is the one where you attach it and you give 2 ammo counters. And when Crossbones attacks you, you remove an ammo counter from the card, discard the top card in the encounter deck, and take indirect damage equal to the number of boost icons. So like Crossbones machine gun has 3 boost icons, this would do 3 damage if flipped. Yeah, so you're taking cheeky damage every time you're attacked, and it's guaranteed to be there because when you go to stage 2 of Crossbones, you've got to attach the machine gun from the, well, either from the deck or the discard pile. Either way, that is, yeah, that's quite a bit. If we move on and have a look at the Absorbing Man, again, we see a little bit of a boost. He's gone up to 15 hit points from 14. He stays at 2 attack, but he goes from 1 scheme to 2. So 1 more scheme, 1 more hit point. Not a giant boost there. Now, we already knew that Absorbing Man gains a trait of each environment in play. And that is still the case when we get on to stage 2. Be kind of rubbish if it wasn't. But when it's revealed, if Super Absorbing is in play, you deal each player an encounter card. Otherwise, you search the encounter deck and discard pile for Super Absorbing and put it into play. Now, I'm assuming that super absorbing is some kind of side scheme, maybe an attachment. I mean, either way, it seems like a pretty safe bet that it's going to be something that is incredibly useful for the absorbing man. So both of them very similar in that when stage 2 comes out, they get that little bit of a bump in terms of stats. And then they also get a new card, or it might be a returning card to be fair, but they get a card which is going to help them out. Now there is one more card which was properly revealed in French. It was HYDRA Patrol, and we're talking about a side scheme here, and it takes 2 threat per person when it comes out. It is a crisis side scheme, which means it must be defeated before you can get to the main scheme. And then when you defeat it, yeah, they're going there. When you defeat it, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a HYDRA minion and puts it in play engaged with them. And interestingly enough, we've seen HYDRA Mercenary, we've seen HYDRA Bomber, we've seen HYDRA Soldier, we've seen Madam HYDRA, but we've not actually seen HYDRA Minion yet. Of course, I'm being a little bit silly here. These are all minions, so essentially you would be able to choose whichever one you wanted. You have to go and get yourself a HYDRA minion and put it into play. Might I suggest not Madam HYDRA if it's in the deck you're playing against? That seems not ideal. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Stage 2 of a couple new villains, couple new exciting cards, hints at some allies. And Red Skull's got a side scheme deck, which I think is probably the big takeaway from this. I think that is a big reveal from all the cards we saw today. That side scheme deck looks like it could be nasty. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about all of these cards. I want to know what you're going to play against them. I want to know how excited you are for the rise of the Red Skull. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, me nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Marvel Champions and a whole bunch of other games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.